I'm going to talk about the aftercare. So once you've gotten your full head of tapeins installed, which happen to be around 2 to 3 packages, but when you do wash your hair, you want to basically wash it, and then rinse it thoroughly. Then you want to condition it, and once you condition it, try not to get the conditioner on the tape section part because that is going to make the slip. Then you're going to rinse all the conditioner out. When you get out of the shower, you're going to squeeze, 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 dry. Do not rough up your hair, and then when you blow dry, you're going to blow dry your hair straight down. Even though a lot of people get tapeins or extensions because their hair is super thin or fine, and you go back into your hair and you'll curl it, style it, whatever you want to do. If you should brush these wet, you could rip them out. So we always suggest never brushing your extensions when they're wet. Wait till they're dry. It is actually pretty amazing how they just slip out. Also, you want to take into consideration that you have 2 types of hair. You have your original hair that you came in with that is left on the top. And then you have your extension hair where your hair is in between it all. You void out the fact that you have your hair between it, and then you address just the extensions. So at that point, you want to hydrate, because once you get extensions, your hair no longer secretes the oil that your hair will need. It's interesting how hair is dead. Well, it is dead. However, the oil from your scalp still runs through the hair, but when you have an extension, it stops. Just focus on a good shampoo, a good conditioner, serum, that's it. Add what you want to later. Don't go to bed with your hair wet. If you want to just dry with the Tapex section, you can do that. Just make sure it's fully dry, and you can leave the rest of the hair dry naturally. You do need to style your hair a couple of times a month, because if you don't, you will start to get dreads. But when it comes to tapeins, because you do move those up every 6 weeks, your hairdresser will probably remove them, and then she will style your hair when she puts them back in. And it's not uncommon for a hairdresser to suggest new packages of hair by the second time you move them up, because the tape does disintegrate and also the extension hair gets dry. So you may need to get more hair. That's why a tape and extensions sometimes typically become a more expensive alternative to getting just regular extensions. Can hot iron, you can style these, you can curl them, you can do all the normal things you need to do to them, except for all you got to do is hold the top where it's connected and work on the bottom. So you never want to just take a flat iron and just do this to them, especially if you have shorter hair. The shorter your hair, that means that's not very much hair for you, number 1, to hold, and 2, for that flat iron to also have your hair as well as the extension. So literally no hair, you're just extension, pull. You're pulling, pulling, pulling. So if you're pulling this much, you're eventually going to loosen that bond or that adhesive connection. So be very careful of that. The only other thing is alcohol is what really removes most extensions, so try not to get any alcohol on your roots where the extensions are at. You can probably use hairsprays and things like that at the top of your hair, but really when it comes to the actual extension tape-in, alcohol does remove them, so you want to be careful about not putting alcohol on them. You also want to make sure with tape-ins that you do wash them often, because of the fact that we do secrete oils on our scalp that do go into the tape. It will remove that, so you want to make sure you wash your hair thoroughly. The other thing is exercise. A lot of people ask about exercise. Tape-ins are not the greatest alternative for extensions when you are somebody who exercises, but let's say you are adamant about having tape-ins, that's completely fine. The only problem is you sweat, and when you sweat, you need to wash these, and when you wash these, you break them down. When you break them down, you have to come in more often. So that's just really the reality of that. And if you have thick hair, I always suggest never getting these extensions. Thick hair is just, it's too much hair, too many tape-ins, too much maintenance. People like it, but it's just not a good idea. It does make your hair lay a lot flatter, but over time you have to do them way more often. Most hairdressers charge you per package that they put in. A package to some hairdressers is 10 pieces. Another package to another hairdresser could be 20. So it just really depends. Some people charge by the hour. And then that's pretty much the tutorial for tape and extensions. If you have any other questions, you can go ahead and text us or email us or ask us anything you would like. We usually go through a tutorial or a aftercare anyway when you come in, but this is a good one just to understand a little bit more about how the tape-ins work.